so the session today is on mission statements, vision statements, values. And what I'm doing is I'm going to give you a template that you can use and a lot of examples here because these statements, the mission statement, vision statement, value statements they're said to be really, really important to the success of companies. And in fact, as business consultants, a lot of times that which we are, we often start with the mission, the vision, the values when we're working with new clients. And one of the reasons why we do this and a lot of our competitors do this is it's basically just a very simple number one most important reason is that creating, or in a lot of cases updating, these statements can really drive the organization in a new direction. By the way, you can do this for yourself personally as well. Just before I kind of continue, I'm interrupting myself now. So this is what I do sometimes, but it's funny because when I first started the High Impact Leaders podcast, one of the first couple of episodes that I did was on how to create a personal vision. And I mean, I knew that was important. And I go through that technique myself quite often to kind of refine where, what direction I'm going in. And if things change in the marketplace, it's usually a good time to kind of go back and recreate that. I had no clue how popular that little episode was going to be. We sometimes get as many as like 300 or 400 people every single week that go onto our website, go on to leadersinstitute.com and fill out the personal vision statement. And by the way, it's free. I mean, basically, if you want to do that, by the way, I would suggest that you do. It looks like a lot of people are getting great value out of that. But that's for the personal vision statement, which is a little bit different from your organization or your company. Although the reason why these things are important are very similar, right? By the way, just so you know, the vision statement, the personal vision statement is something that kind of encompasses our own kind of personal mission statement, that kind of thing. When you're doing this for a company or an organization, though, a lot of times the mission and the vision statements, although a lot of organizations use them interchangeably, the two statements really have distinctly different purposes. Like, for instance, the mission statement focuses on where the organization is right now, right? So if I tell you what my mission statement is, this is what we do right now. And in contrast, the vision statement creates a picture of where the organization is going to be in the future. And the third statement, or the third document anyway, is the values of your organization, which I spent some time, I think probably 15, 16 years or so ago, really not only putting my own personal values into the document, but also interacting with a lot of the folks that were on my team and getting them to give us input. That is really one of the most valuable exercises I think I've ever done as a business owner. And hopefully you'll see that as we kind of get into the third part of this session as well, when we start talking about that. But these values, they're the criteria that you can use to make decisions within your organization. The more clear they are, and the more that we communicate them to not only to our internal team, but also to our customers as a whole, the more they help drive the direction of the organization. And so basically an analogy to kind of describe the way that each one of these three things work and why each one of them is important is, let's just say that you wanted to take a trip in a car. Maybe you're going on vacation or something like that, right? Well, the vision would be the destination that you're going to. Let's say you're going to go to the beach, right? So you're going to be going to Miami or something like that, right? So the vision statement is that's where we're headed. That's where we're going. We're going to go to Miami Beach. Well, the mission would be the vehicle that you use to get there. So that would be your car or the plane or whatever it is that you're going to use to get to that. So your mission statement would be the vehicle. And then finally, the values would be the directions or the roadmap that you use to get there. It's what lets you know whether or not you're on track as you start moving toward that vision. So, I mean, you can see how each of those three is really important to getting to the end goal. If any one of those things is out of whack, if the destination is out of whack, we end up at the wrong place. If the vehicle is out of whack, if it's not up to snuff, can be challenging to get there if the directions are not in line with if they're not efficient. We can waste a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of wasted space and time going in directions that we shouldn't be going. So all of those things are really, really important anyway, as you are on a trip. And it's even more important if you're investing in your own organization, your own company, your own department, whatever it is that you're creating your mission vision statement for. So let's kind of start with the vision statement first. Before we start working on the mission and the values, it's really important that you start with creating a great vision statement or a great idea of where you actually want to get to. It's easier to do everything else if you have a crystal clear picture of the destination that you're working toward. So as we kind of get into this, though, let's kind of talk about why you need a great vision for the future, right? In every organization's life cycle, by the way, this is every person, for that matter, there are two different forces at play. The past is kind of like a tree, right? It's a root, it's an anchor. So the past includes all of an organization's history, including both the successes and the failures. And the older that an organization is, or the older a person is, the more rings that tree has and the deeper the roots. So your organization is attached to this tree with, let's just say they're attached with bungee cords, right? So basically you got a person that's trying to move away from the past, trying to move into the future. And so, but you got a bunch of bungee cords, and the older the organization or the older the person is, the tighter those bungee cords are, right? The more difficult it is to move. So as a manager of your organization, you come in, you want to try to make positive changes, but you got to realize that you're in a constant battle with the past. Your team has certain habits, and they've developed these habits over time. They didn't develop these habits in a day. It might have taken weeks or months, or in many cases years and years and years. And so that they're very difficult to change habits. The organization also has processes in place that make change more difficult as well. So when a new manager comes in, that new manager may have a lot of enthusiasm, but the group may experience a quick burst of growth because of that energy and enthusiasm that the manager is bringing forth to the group. However, that the further that the group moves from the status quo, the more difficult the journey because of those bungee cords, right? I mean, the further you get away from that anchor, the more difficult it is to continue to move forward. So basically, once the effort diminishes, once the new manager kind of loses that enthusiasm or gets beat up a little bit, then the organization will likely kind of move backwards into the past. Move backwards toward those habits, but toward those old processes. But the way that the vision statement works, though, is to add a bungee cord that pulls you into the future now. So the stronger that your vision is, the less hold the past has on you. And the stronger that vision is, the more rings that you put on the bungee cord as well. So the more powerful your vision is, the more that you absolutely want to get to that location in the future, that destination, the easier it is now, the less the past has on you, because you're moving towards something that's better, right? So and by the way, this is just a really quick suggestion that I would kind of throw at you. If you are actually creating a vision statement for your organization, let's say you're the owner or you're a manager or an executive, and you want to try to recreate a vision statement or create a new vision statement for yourself, I would suggest that you not try to do it yourself, because remember that your team has ingrained habits. So your organization also has ingrained processes. If you just show up one day and say, all right, here's our new vision, then you're going to meet with a lot of resistance. You'll have a much better success if you pull your team together and have them help you create this vision. And that way the vision is going to be more global. You're going to have more buy-in from your organization. So a good suggestion is to send out an agenda for the meeting ahead of time. And in that agenda, give your team a chance to really think about what the vision looks like, or what the future looks like in their eyes. Where can we go in 5 years or 10 years or 15 or 20 years? So ultimately, what are we moving toward? And you might ask them a question like, hey, if we were successful beyond our wildest dreams, what would our organization look like? Right. And then when you start the meeting, write every idea on a whiteboard, brainstorm until you get 10, 15, 20, 30 responses. And the other thing that I would suggest is that you set a time limit. Your team will take about as much time as you give them to complete the vision statement. So if you give them 3 hours, it's going to take 3 hours. My suggestion would be to limit the time to 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And then once you have a number of responses, just end the meeting. Then take the best ideas and create a simple and cohesive vision statement for the group. Bring it back to the next meeting and say, hey, based on our discussion last week, this is what I think we came up with, and everybody in agreement, right? So that'll save you a lot of time, by the way. So if you're trying to get everybody to agree on the verbiage and all that kind of stuff, going to be really, really hard. But if you get the ideas and then use the ideas to help you create this, it makes it a whole lot easier. So if you're from like my generation, I'm almost 50, right? I'm almost 50. So I'm now moving more toward the grandparents age now than the dad age, I think. But in my I guess adolescence anyway, there was this movie called The Breakfast Club, right? And it's like, that's so old now. So I feel like I'm ancient now. But basically, the movie, The Breakfast Club, was about this diverse group of detention attendees. Each one of them got they all got sent to detention, Saturday detention, and one of their assignment while they were there was that they had to write an essay. And at the end of the movie, what they all do is they all just kind of give a sentence or two and give it to the smart kid, and he ends up putting it all into an essay. But basically, what happens is that when you get the entire group involved, the team, when they're involved, it kind of, that's the kind of vision that you're looking for. You're looking for a vision that is really built on the input of the entire group. Your team's going to move toward that vision faster if they help you create it. And by the way, if you're looking for a template for the personal vision statement, I mentioned at the earlier part of the session here, I'll put that in the show notes. That way you can look at that. But actually, we're going to have a template for this session as well. So, and I'm going to put that in the show notes as well. If you go to leadersinstitute.com and just type in mission, vision, values, you'll find it if you do a search for it. But I'll put a link to the show notes. That way you can get that. You can use the vision template in order to help you kind of create a really cool vision for you and your group. So by the way, as you're creating this vision statement, make the details in it as specific as possible. When I look at most vision statements, I think, the first thing that pops into my head is, that's fluffy, right? It's really vague, right? Most vision statements just don't have a lot of substance. And as a result, they won't, the group is not likely, your team is not likely to move into action, and nobody else is either, right? So when you create your vision, you want the statements to be really what I call result oriented and detailed. For instance, like Amazon's vision statement, it's really interesting because I went back when I was doing my research on this, went back and said, okay, what companies have really used their vision statement as a way to kind of grow? And so this is what Amazon said, word for word. This is the Amazon vision statement. Our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they may want to buy online. And I know what some of you are thinking, well, sure, yeah, they're Amazon. So yeah, when you have a company as successful as Amazon, they can create an audacious vision like that. It's easy for them, they're huge, right? The funny part about that is that was the vision that Jeff Bezos had in 1997 when Amazon went public. So that was back when Amazon was just selling books online. That's it. That's the only thing they sold online. And at the time he was trying to compete with like Barnes and Noble and Books a Million, those which I'm and he's way surpassed those guys, right? So let me give you an example. Like for instance, in archery or in marksmanship, if you're aiming just for the target, the targets are really big. So if you just aim for the target and you miss the target, right? However, if you aim for the bullseye and you miss, you still hit the target. Right. So you want to avoid really the vague superlatives, the most vision and really mission statements use words like, a market leader or provide quality products. By the way, I mean, I'll give you some of the worst examples that I found, by the way. These are real, honest to God vision statements and mission statements, right? To be the global leader in customer value. Now, when you read that, there's no way to even know what industry the company is in, by the way. By the way, it's a company that creates big engines. So, I mean, they're very, very well known, especially in bulldozers and engines and stuff like that, right? So, but that is what their vision statement is. I'll read it again. Just so to be the global leader in customer value. I mean, that's about as vague as it gets. And so as a result, it's not likely to move anybody to change their behavior, change their action. But let me give you a few of my favorites. So these are some of my favorite vision statements for Land O'Lakes, the great company, customer of ours, by the way. We've done a lot of team building activities for them. But this is what their vision says. They said, our vision is to be one of the best food and agricultural companies in the world by being, number one, our customers' first choice. Number two, our employees' first choice. Number three, responsible to our owners. And number four, a leader in our communities. So basically those four things, that's what they basically put their values in their vision statement, which saves them a step later on, but it's really cool. Microsoft, at its founding, this was when Microsoft was founded, the vision was a computer on every desk in every home. That was what their vision was. That's what they wanted to do. And now eventually they kind of changed and they started moving into more or less, they started realizing that the software was more valuable than the actual computers, but that was their vision at the very beginning. LinkedIn, create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. Now, it's a little general, it's a little, but it still hits the mark, right? Because that's what they're known for, right? So basically what you want to do in your vision statement is you want to create a future state for your organization and make it as clear as possible so that when you get to that future state, you know it, right? And you're moving toward that thing. So leave out the vague superlatives. All right. So the next thing that you want to do is create a list of values that set your organization apart from others. Now, you notice I didn't go to the vision statement yet. We're going to go into values first, because then the mission will be a whole lot easier once you create your value statement. And your value statement is going to be much easier if you have a clear vision. So if you do them in that order, it makes it a little bit easier. So just like your vision statement, you can get more value from this part if your team is involved. And by the way, out of all of the mission, vision, and value components, this is the one that is most critical, I think, anyway, to a company's success. This list is really the list of values. It drives the activity within the organization. So if the list of values is both comprehensive and publicized within the organization, everybody's got to know these things, then the leadership in the organization is much, much, much easier. And by the way, I found out how important this was by the concept of writing down this list of values just recently. I mentioned years ago, 15 plus years or so ago, I created a list of the values of my company, the Leaders Institute, the things that really set us apart from our competitors. And by the way, if you want to see them, they're on the leadersinstitute.com webpage. It's on the About Us page. But one of the things at the very top of our list is responsiveness. That's one of the things that makes us different from a lot of our competitors. From the early days of the company, we realized that when potential customers, because we produce information a lot of times digitally online, and when what we realize is that when potential customers have a problem, they want a solution to that problem right now. They don't want it tomorrow. They don't want it 6 weeks from now. They want it right now. So that was one of the things that we really focused on from day one. The second one is quality, because quite frankly, we charge a premium price for our services, right? We are not the cheapest leadership development company in the world. In fact, we're probably far from it. But as a result, our customers expect perfection. So when we go out and we do something, if it's not the highest standard, then they're going to go, wait, why are we paying that high fee for it? So quality is really important. The third, by the way, is cooperation. And our customers, want the process to be easy. And then, and so that's one of the reasons why that was one of our early values. And then the last two are initiative and continuous improvement, because we know that because we are in an industry that is constantly changing, we have to continuously improve our knowledge. We have to keep on top with what's new and trending and all that kind of stuff. So our team members have to be able to solve problems without having to slow down the solution process, right? So in addition, we know that as good as we are today, if we're not improving the processes, then we're going to be left behind, right? So so that was the list that we created, or that I created with the help of my team back 15 plus years or so ago. And this is how that paid off, by the way. And this is hopefully where you can kind of see the value of this. A couple of years ago, I set this really, really audacious goal for growth. I mean, it was outlandish because at the time we had, we were making millions of dollars a year, so we're not a small business, but we're not a huge business either. But but we had kind of plateaued. We'd gotten to this point where we had hit a very similar revenue stream every single year for like 2 or 3 years straight. And we're like, man, okay, we're supposed to be the people that teach other folks how to grow and get bigger. And now we've kind of plateaued. So basically what I did was I set this audacious goal, and I wanted to quadruple our revenue in less than 5 years. So that's pretty difficult to do. So after setting the goal, though, I had a quick realization. It didn't take me very long to realize that some of the team members who were going to be the team members were going to be instrumental in that particular growth. And some of the people that were on staff were going to be really critical in helping us get there, whereas others might actually harm the growth process. There were other folks that kind of had created those habits, just like we talked about earlier. So I knew that we were going to need to bring in a significant number of new team members as we progressed toward this goal. It was just going to happen. There was no way that the folks that we have on staff right now were going to be able to do that much additional business without help. So I knew we were going to need to hire some folks. So basically what myself and two of the top executives here at the company did was we created this little worksheet with the core values, those 5 core values that I just mentioned. We had them listed on there. And then we added the names of each of our team members, each basically every employee in the company. And then we gave each one of them a score based on the way that we perceived each team member in each one of those areas. For instance, my score for initiative was, I'm 10 out of 10. Man, that's initiative. Man, that's what I'm good at that. That's where my strength is anyway, right? However, I scored a 3 out of 10. I think I scored myself this way, by the way, but I know my executive scored me this way in cooperation. That's not really my strength. It's not what I'm good at. I mean, I can tell people what to do. I can coach people on how to cooperate with others, but man, I would much rather kind of do it myself, right? It's just my mentality. So we did that for each of the team members. And then we realized very quickly that some of our hiring decisions may have actually hampered our growth. One of the reasons why we had found that we had plateaued and kind of stalled out is that in the heat of the moment, when the growth is when companies are really growing, we need skilled people. We need, bodies. We need people. And so when we found people with the needed skills, we would that would work for what we'd pay for, pay them anyway, we'd hire them. And we quickly decided that we are not doing that anymore. That is one of the things that as a result of going through this process, because what we figured out is that quite a few of the folks that we had hired when we were in a pinch they didn't really fit the values of the organization. As a result, they were causing us to not grow as fast as what we could. And so over the last couple of years, we've kind of made some adjustments and added new people. And now when we bring new people on, we do that first, right? We're identifying whether or not they meet our value levels or criteria right up front, because if they do, we know they're going to do well in this organization. And you can do the same thing in your organization as well. You want to score your applicants based on the core values, and it's going to help you make better hiring decision. So here's a list of potential values that you can use as a starting point. So these are just some of the things that some words that you can use to describe the values, but be things like integrity, courage, confidence, being goal-oriented, sincerity, work ethic, being personable, charisma, fun, determination, enthusiasm, dependability, ambition, thoroughness, being detail-oriented, being respectful, faithfulness, charity, accountability, empathy, humility, conviction, optimism, diligence, imagination, and creativity. Now, the list is not comprehensive, and but it's there to kind of give you ideas. By the way, your core values don't just have to be a single word. Like, for instance, Google's core values are actually pretty fun to look at. They've got, I think it's 10, if I remember right. They've got 10 core values. Yeah, they did. There were 10 of these core values, and a couple of them, by the way, some of them are actually a little offensive, I think. But one is that, hey, fast is better than slow. That's their core value, is that fast is better than slow. Pretty smart, right? Another one is that you can be serious without wearing a suit, right? Or great just isn't good enough. I mean, that's 3 of those 10 core values that Google has. And so they don't necessarily have to be just words, but the words can actually help you get started anyway. All right, so now that you have a great vision and then your core values, the mission statement is going to be much, much, much easier to create. In fact, your mission statement it's really the result of the other 2 things. I'll give you an example of like a learning experience for me anyway. Years ago, I was working for there was a local box company here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where I live, where they asked me to help them recreate their mission statement. The founder of the company was stepping down. He was the president, the founder, and he had been running the business for 40 plus years or so, and he had a younger person of one of his trusted employees was taking over, right? And so his assignment for her when she took over was to update the mission statement of the company. He had this mission statement that he created 40 years or so ago, and he knew that it was a little outdated. So, and as I kind of brought them through this process, it was eye-opening for not only for me, but I hope it was for them as well. Because in the beginning, the statement started with, "We are a corrugated box company who," right? So they make corrugated boxes. That's what they do, right? And all morning, I mean, this is like, I spent 3.5 hours with them, and all morning, I was trying to get the team to, by the way, in great detail, tell me the functions of the company. And it turns out that their purpose for existing was they thought it was related to boxes, but their customers really didn't want the boxes. They wanted the results that the boxes gave them. And that's one of the things that once they kind of figured that out, and it took us a while, but once they figured it out, the lights started to come on. because their customers were looking for ways to ship their products from one location to another with little or no damage. That was the result. That's the problem that they were solving. And once they realized this, a whole new world of possibilities opened up, because corrugated boxes is just one way to do that. And by the way, just so you know, I mean, this company had been in business for, like I said, 40, 50 years or so. And during that time period, growth was really stalled. I mean, it was a good sized company, but they were pretty much at the same revenue now that they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, right? They didn't really make any more boxes each year than what they made the previous year. So it had been pretty stagnant for quite a while. And one of the reasons is that their vision for the future, their mission, was really on the corrugated boxes, which was a limited market. There was a limited thing they could do, right? So their sales people, as a result of kind of going through this process, were no longer just talking to customers about how to increase the number of boxes per order, which is what they've been doing, with not very successfully, by the way. But the conversations changed to ways that they could help the customer better protect their inventory, right? So the mission is not what you do. Your mission is the result that you help your customers create. By the way, we've got a number of different companies under the Leaders Institute brand. You know, for instance, our Fearless Presentations group, they offer presentation skills training. And our mission, though, isn't something vague like we offer world-class public speaking classes. You know, instead we focus on the result. Why do people come to us to take our public speaking classes? Well, because we help people conquer the fear of public speaking in just a couple of days. So if you want to conquer the fear of public speaking in a very short period of time, Fearless Presentations is a good way to do that, right? So that's our mission statement. The difference between the mission and the vision statement is that we are currently, the Leaders Institute is currently helping people reduce public speaking fear. That's what we're doing now. It's what we're known around the world for. We're known for that specific thing. In our team building company, you know, one of the other branches of our organization is that we do events and team building and stuff like that. Well, in that one, our mission is to provide the best. It's not to provide the best team building activities. Instead, the mission statement is we help our customers make meetings more fun and valuable. I mean, that's really what folks hire us to do, right? They're like, oh, got a boring meeting? I don't want a boring meeting, so I'm going to hire the Leaders Institute because they make meetings more fun. They make them more valuable. They make people want to go to these things, right? And so our customers love that we do that. So when you create your mission statement, the first thing that you want to do is take a look at your vision statement and your values, and then ask yourself, how exactly is it that we do that? What results do our customers receive when we do this thing? The answer is not your product or service, by the way. It's not corrugated boxes. The result, however, is likely to be a great mission statement for you. So whatever the answer to that question is likely going to be what your mission statement actually becomes.